Hello, my name's Graham. I've studied, researched, read about, and wrote about evolution all of my life. I'm over 70, and I've been involved in the pursuit of understanding it for many, many years. It doesn't take understanding evolution and what it is, does not take away the fact that I may have a moral guidance that guides me to understand how evolution can be, the knowledge of it can be used as a regressive force or a positive force. So the question is, what is human? What are you as a human? One or two people who may watch this, because not many people watch these videos, but the ones that do will then become enlightened, I hope, to what evolution means in the moral sense. And what is human? What is human? There's a lot of delusions. We look around the world, there's millions and billions of people, and they're humans. And we connect their social connections to each other, that emotional content, as the human factor. It's not. It's a commonality amongst all mammalians. All mammalians have a socializing factor, bred through the mother. The mother feeding at breast engenders and nurtures a sort of love between, the bonding between the species, within the species. In the higher order, that is, the mammals are a higher order of species than reptiles and birds and stuff, in the fact that they have the greater emotional connection to each other because of that suckling on the breast. And if you disconnect that maternalism and replace it with materialism, you end up in the political or the social dilemma that we have today, which is basically purely materialistic and without guidance or actual wisdom. So I want to read from a small book that I wrote called Fireplace Dreaming, just one little poem, if you like, thing. We strike two stones, cause a spark, light our fire, the flames, sparks rising, and smoke draw us away from the present. We relax into nothingness. Frost causes light to sparkle all around. All is silent at the rising of the moon. The Milky Way flows overhead every night for hundreds of thousands of years. Human spirituality, its mind, drifted in and out of fireside dreaming. It was a time of great development within the human species itself. Now, what happened? What happened when they learnt to make fire? Went from discovering what fire was, it's obviously a lightning strike or volcanic eruption, there's fire. When you can make fire, you've made it because you've learnt to question. You've said, oh, how can I make fire? Or you've observed a rock being struck on another rock, trying to make a shaped stone, a tool, that you observe a spark, and you think, well, if you're in the night time, it's obvious. You keep sparking, you can ignite grass. So the first questions were then, the first actual academic, if you like, question, the first introduction to technology, when someone first said, well, look at those sparks, can we make a fire? That is the big difference. That was the big shift, the missing link between what was before and what became human is the ability to question. Without the ability to question, we are not human. If you are told you can't question this or that or the other, how can there possibly be progress, positive progress, without being able to question everything and anything? If we cannot question, then we're merely subjects to those who own the knowledge, and they use it in an authoritative way to limit spread of ideas and thoughts from which might happen from questioning the authority of politicians. Remember, politicians, unless you're in a dictatorship, politicians are supposed to be in a democracy, and that's supposed to allow a sort of society to question their policies, and then you vote on on your questioning of the policies, which policy is right or wrong. You vote on that. You don't just vote this or vote that because we tell you to. You ought to be questioning the policy. Why are we voting for this policy? If you're not questioning why we're voting for this policy, well, you're just following orders. And you're living in sort of a miasma of slight confusion because you do not know the path that questions lead you on. Allows you to become more and more aware of the meaning of the policy, and then you can begin to work out the either positive or negative result of that policy. It's very simple, and because the great dilemma among humans is that technical development, or the evolution of technology, denotes great advances in evolution in human civilization, and that's the greatest single dilemma and delusion, if you like. It's an illusion of great advancement in civilization. Because great civilizations for thousands of years have come and gone. And before the Great Flood, there was other civilizations what got wiped away. So we don't really know how great civilization may have been in the past. We don't know how well a great civilization will be one that needed very few laws and very few policemen. It would just know that behavior was down to the individual. A great civilization, a great civilized people would be able to maintain their own health and their own well-being through their self-discipline by questioning their diet, their behavior, questioning their own behavior. You cannot question your own behavior, your own diet, your own attitude. Then it can hardly have be said that you're anything above the rest of the animal species. Because there's obviously some humans are far more efficient, if you like, at questioning their own personal mentality and physical environment, if you like, that then allows them to develop a means of staying healthier and more mentally aware and less chance of getting comorbidities, for instance, which is one of the greatest problems with COVID. And this brings me to the point, because right now at the moment it's a very sad world we're entering because of this massive thing called COVID. And you would think, and I'm questioning the health policies of governments that are not pushing want you to get vaccinated. They're pushing the mandate of vaccinations and stuff like that. But they're not pushing at the same time and not promoting, which it should be in the last 2 years. There should be a parallel sense of known comorbidity was a big factor in how many people die of COVID. And this is where questions coming in. I'm asking the question, why aren't governments pushing getting healthy, reducing blood sugar on a daily basis as much as they're pushing the vaccine? Because if you're pushing the vaccine because you're saying you're concerned about public health and the well-being and the outcomes of this pandemic, you therefore, but not pushing, increasing your society, encouraging your society to get increasingly healthier, regardless it's isolated or what. It doesn't stop you we've had to keep isolated, but it doesn't stop you doing exercises in your lounge room or in your back garden or whatever. It doesn't stop you getting out there and doing push-ups or sit-ups or whatever, and restricting your diet because you're not using much energy. So therefore, reduce your food intake, which would help reduce food shortages. Surely, if everyone just reduced their food intake, what was related to the amount of energy they were using, then you reduce the amount of food shortage because there's more food to go around, and you'd improve the health outcomes of people, and reduce consumption, and therefore you reduce the amount of energy required to run society, and you there would be sort of going to incorporating with the idea of reducing human impact upon the environment. And that would be a positive evolutionary outcome for humanity. Thank you. What is human? It is to question, and personally, and especially question yourself, your own ideals, your own ideas, and your own regimes about your health and well-being.